What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here. This is going to be a late night review of DC's Legends of Tomorrow, Season 1, Episode 6, Star City 2046. Now, last week I talked a bit about how I was excited to see, now we're in the future, we're no longer in the past. I was curious to see what they were going to do with it, how long we're going to be here, stuff like that. Admittedly, they could have done a bit more with it, but at the same time, I understand not wanting to do too much here, because so far they've done very well to not get bogged down in one area. I think this show would be a lot more boring if we had started off in like 1970 something, and most of this season was about them trying to stop Vandal Savage in 1970 something. I think it's a lot more interesting that they're jumping around through time. They stopped him here in 1970 something, stopped him here in 1980 something, got knocked off course, and now they're in 2046. I like that. I don't mind the fact that they're jumping around a bit. I would have liked to see a bit more from here, but at the same time, it's kind of like you don't want to show too much here because, like he said, this timeline is not set. The future that they're in right now is if they don't make it back to 2016, if they aren't around, which I think is very interesting. Because I was wondering, what if they were in 2046, and what it actually is going to be 2046 after all of this is over? And who knows? What if this is actually the future? What if they don't make it back? What if that is their future? Because you could argue that this is the future if they left in 2016 and didn't come back. But what if it's more than that? What if this is actually the future because they don't make it back from their mission? That's pretty crazy to think about. So that's just, overall, this concept intrigues me, and time travel is always something fun, but it's only if it's done well. Like, if time travel is not done well, cough, Terminator. I didn't do that right, anyway. But if it's not done well, it can come off as really confusing and frustrating to watch, and really, this timeline is so screwed. But the way they're handling it is pretty well done right now. Even when they're out exploring, trying to figure out about this future, trying to get some tech for the ship, Mick Rory asks Rip, so since it's the future, does it not matter if I kill anybody? He's like, well, you don't want to do that because it might create a paradox. And I'm just like, see, that's a good answer, because what would happen if I traveled to the future and killed somebody and came back? Would I live out my future, and then in the future that person still dies because my past self goes and kills? It's confusing to think about. What if my past self goes and kills my future self? That's just crazy to even consider. So it is best to not kill anybody to avoid paradoxes or anything like that. Like I said, I like that answer. It's a good answer. So that's my general overview of this episode going into it. Is I'm excited to see what they're going to do with it. Overall, they did fairly well, kind of with the concept of being in the future and all that stuff. And I did enjoy this episode, but first, because DC cannot help itself, I'm going to talk about what I did not like. The relationship bullcrap. If you've seen my reviews of Supergirl, my reviews of Arrow currently as I'm watching it on Netflix, one of the things that just is not handled well in these shows is the relationship stuff. In Supergirl, they made a love square, kind of a love pentagon at one point, and it's just it's not done for humor, it's done for drama. And it's not good drama. It's not done well. The characters make stupid decisions. You want to grab all of them and smack them upside the head like you're an idiot. Arrow is a bit better, but not much. I still haven't seen Flash, so I don't know about that. But they have avoided it so far in this. It was talked about a bit between Hawkman and the Hawk Girl, but that's a bit different because they've been reincarnated. Most of their reincarnations get together, so it's different to think about it there, like they're destined to be together. And then in this episode, just Jax all of a sudden is just like, "Hey, I'm gonna go hit on Hawk Girl," and at the same time, Ray is just like, "Yeah, I'm chatting her up," and then Martin gets involved and tries to talk Ray out of going to see her, and then of course that backfires and makes him actually want to see her, and then he tries to hook up with her, and she's just like, dude, whoa. I'm kind of, first of all, through all of this, I'm thinking, is this really important? I get the fact that this kind of seems like a suicide mission at times. So I kind of get that thought of, well, I might as well try, but at the same time, shouldn't you be focused to make sure it's not a suicide mission? Like, if I was a daredevil, and I was in the middle of this stunt, and I really needed to focus to make sure I didn't die doing this stunt, I would not take my focus time and chat up a girl just because I might die. I would rather make sure I don't die first, and then maybe chat her up afterwards. Like, that's my thought process. And obviously that's not the thought process here. The thought process here is just, oh well, this seems like it might be the last mission we ever go on, so might as well try my chances. I'm just like, no, you focus on saving the world so that you don't die, and then maybe you have a chance with her after. Use your brain. But no. He didn't use the brain. They neither of them used the brain. So anyway, that was the one thing that I didn't like. Thankfully, though, it didn't end with one of them getting together. Like, if that had happened, probably would have, punched the nearest person. And that just happened to be my dad as he's recovering from surgery. So, probably not best to punch him. But this show almost made me do it. Almost. So, but honestly, as that's going on, that's the only thing that's really frustrating me as it's happening. I'm just like, really? Everything else, I'm just like, okay, I'm invested. I want to know what's happening. Thank goodness I started watching Arrow on Netflix, because I would be so lost right now if I hadn't. Because, they're in the future now. There's a black guy shooting arrows. I'm just like, gotta be related to Diggle. I know that sounds really racist because Diggle's the only black guy in the show, but I mean, come on. Who else would take up the Green Arrow cowl besides Diggle's son? Not that I know he had a son, but it was just, for me, I was just like, he's gotta be related to Diggle somehow, right? It's the only thing that makes sense. But it is Diggle's son. He actually calls himself Connor Hawk instead of John Diggle Jr., like he was named. Mainly because he feels like he failed his father because he couldn't prevent his death. Oliver, they find out, still alive, missing a left arm. And of course, at the end he gets a prosthetic. I like the fact that they brought him back. I like the fact that he was in this episode too. The only thing that I've got to nitpick, he fights very well for, almost 50? No, actually he's got to be over 50, maybe almost 60 at this point. He fights very well for an almost 16-year-old, Like, don't get me wrong, it's not like he couldn't be that in shape, but it seems like he's kind of holed up there for a long time, and yet somehow he's still in good enough shape to take on Little Slade for a little while. I mean, I don't know. It seemed a little far-fetched for me. But, it was good. It was a little bit predictable, a little bit cliche as far as this one guy's given up, and then it's up to them to kind of inspire him to come back and fight, and he does in the end. Kind of saw it coming, but it was good because I'm invested in these characters. If it was characters that I didn't care about, I may not have enjoyed it as much. Also, you've got this story going on between Mick and Snart. where Mick Rory is kind of, he wants to stay. You know, like he's with his people now. Like he is in charge. He's ruling all over this gang. He wants that. That's exactly what he wants. He wants a world like this. And Snart's just like, what about saving the world? You know, like we could be rich if we manage to succeed in this. And he's just like, you know, that's not what I want. He's like, you know what I want. Oh yeah, I know. To see the world burn. I'm just like, see, this is good. You know, I like to see, because one of the things that really worried me at the beginning of this season was that having two criminals in the team generally either means they're going to do the cliche route of the criminals become good guys, or they're going to do the cliche route where the criminals like are don't they mess up the team or something. You know, like they're the reason the team disbands, or they end up going along with the bad guy. You know, something like that. They always do some. I would prefer to see it where they help out, but because they have, you know, Leonard Snart really seems like he has a good reason. You know, he wants the fame and the glory and the riches that will come with saving the world. But McRory's intentions aren't the best. You know, he did, after Ray helped him in the last episode, he did help him back. But it's almost like it's because they have like this code as a criminal that, you know, he kind of follows by that code. He does have kind of a moral standard, but that doesn't mean that he necessarily wants to keep helping with this mission to save the world. Like, he wants his own thing. I don't know where this is going, and I like that I don't. Because, this is a good story to set up. You have the two criminals. One does want to help, but because selfish intentions. The other one doesn't want to help because he doesn't really care. You know, it's not his thing. I feel like this is going to become a big deal, especially in the next previews from the next one. It looks like they're fighting each other. I don't know. That could be very interesting and a very good talking point. Is that he's kind of the one that stands out from the group as not really wanting to help save the world. He's just doing his own thing. He's just along for the ride because, you know, Snart's involved. So that's a good storyline to set up. Let's see, anything else? The stuff between Rip and Sarah, also a bit predictable. You've got, well, honestly, whenever Connor got taken, I was kind of like, okay, so go back in time and save him by changing that future so it doesn't happen. But then they did kind of bring up a good point. Not really, actually, but I don't know. It sounded like a good point to them that, yeah, this future may not happen, but that doesn't change the fact that it's a possibility. You know, like, you're trying to save your wife and daughter, wife and son, in a future that may not actually happen. So why shouldn't we feel the same way about Connor and Oliver in this possible future? It does make sense, but at the same time, I'm still thinking, you save him by going back in time and changing it to where that doesn't happen. You know, like, why waste time here that could possibly get more people killed? But as soon as Sarah decides that she's going to go do it, it's kind of like, well, now you have to stay because Sarah's still here. You can't leave her behind, you know. But, I don't know, I was so... At first I was just like, once he got taken and cut to commercial break, I'm just like, please don't tell me they're going to go save him. Like, this is in the future. You can just go back and change what happens here. Please tell me that. And sure enough, they do. But the reasoning was good enough to where I was just like, okay, I'll accept it. You know, I'll take it. It's not the best reasoning ever, but at the same time, it does kind of beg the... Like, I agree that Rip Hunter's trying to change this future where his wife and child die, but at the same time, he's not, you know, he's not traveling to that future with his team and stopping Vandal Savage in that moment. He's actually trying to go back and do it at a different time. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. Maybe you do. Just one of the things to talk about in the comments. But overall, a good episode, and really setting up a lot of stuff that I feel like is going to become important soon. Between I don't know about the relationship stuff becoming important, but the thing between Rory and Snart, the thing between Sarah and Rip, which they're kind of developing this really close friendship. I really hope this doesn't turn into anything else, because I don't know. I've seen shows do this before where you've got two characters that are similar that connect on a certain level, and they kind of become friends pretty easily, but then they start arguing, and at some point it becomes romantic. Um, and obviously, Rip does have his wife and child in the future, but I don't I don't know. I feel like they're pushing on it a little bit, just a little bit. I hope that's not what they're pushing, but it kind of feels like it at times. So we'll see. I'm hoping not, but that's just me. But overall, very good episode. Would have liked to see a bit more in the future, but I'm okay with it. As long as they take it into a good story next week. So that's my opinion on this episode. What did you think? Let me know down in the comments below. Leave a like and subscribe for more Legends of Tomorrow, and I will see you at the next review. Peace out.